Prime Minister's security breach gets bigger by the day, and Times Now is the only channel that is bringing you all the angles. Today we have broken specific angles on the story. The first being an intelligence note that warned of Pakistan possibly trying misadventures in that particular area. The second is information about how the organization has Maoist links. The same organization that breached the Prime Minister's security had links as far as various Maoist groups are concerned, particularly, of course, the fact that it was enlisted in February 2014 during the UPA era. The third is a video from 2020 which appears to have been replayed in 2022. Let's go across to Meghna for more on this. Meghna, three news breaks that have happened right today on Times Now that all point to one angle of a possibility of a collusion and the fact that this was not an incident that just happened to have taken place.
Well, here on Times Now, we have meticulously pieced together what is the truth behind the Prime Minister's security sabotage. 5 pieces of evidence, 5 pieces of proof that we are going to put forth for our viewers. The first proof there on your screens, the intel note which was accessed by Times Now, which categorically warned the state government. What did it say? It said this, that SKM, which is the Samyukt Kisan Morcha, had declared that they would be organizing Gherao of the Prime Minister on his visit to Firozpur. Then it goes on to say that some sort of agitation cannot be ruled out on the way to Hussainiwala. This is, of course, where the Prime Minister was ambushed on that flyover. SFJ provoking the youth to do mischievous things against the BJP government and against the Prime Minister. Categorically in black and white, this says that in this intel report. Goes to the extent of saying that the Prime Minister does face a high degree of operational as well as positional threat in Hussainiwala. That is precisely what had happened. What is the second proof that we are getting for you? This on your screens is the proof number 2 of Congress Maoist front tip-off. When is this from? Well, this is from February 2014, when the UPA government itself on the floor of the Lok Sabha had said this, that the Prime Minister's route details were leaked to a Maoist front. And which is this front? This is the Bharatiya Kisan Union E-Krantikari. Very categorically, UPA had called the BKU E-Krantikari as a front of the Maoists. And incidentally, these own leaders, the chief of BKU E-Krantikari has told here on Times Now that the route map of the Prime Minister was leaked to them by some of the topmost officials of the Punjab police. Why is that? That, remember, is also a Congress government. What is the next proof that we are getting for our views? We are going to get you the third proof that we've managed to access, that of the ambush script video. This is a video, it is a rap song which was put out in December 2020. 1 year, 1 month before the Prime Minister was ambushed. And what's very eerie is the way that it shows a bridge. And on the bridge, they showed an animated figure of a person who looks quite like Prime Minister Modi. There is no denying the similarity. But the similarities don't just end there. In this video, you can see the Prime Minister being ambushed, his entire convoy being stopped by an array of tractors. They are supposed to be Kisan protesters. As we all know, that is exactly what happened 1 year, 1 month later, when on 5th of January, the Prime Minister's carcade was blocked at Hussainiwala. Which is why the fourth piece of proof, and this is very significant, the SPG alert on ambush risk. This too is a note that we've managed to access here on Times Now. The SPG notified the Punjab police about the contingency plan, that the Prime Minister is coming, you have to have a contingency plan, saying that the contingency rehearsal for the road journey was also done. There's a confirmation given that it was all done. However, none of that had happened. Remember, the strong police deployment was also emphasized by the SPG. Remember, when it comes to the Prime Minister's security, the state police has to work in tandem with the SPG, with the central agencies to secure the personage of the Prime Minister. This is why inputs regarding sabotage risk were also raised. Clearly, all these red flags were completely ignored by the Channi government's Punjab administration. What is the fifth piece of evidence? And this is very critical because this is the central government going on record in the Supreme Court. The fifth proof that we are going to put out is that of NDA's Khalistan submission in the highest court of the land. The SG has said that leaders of banned SFJ have vowed a blockade of the Prime Minister. Not just that, it says that there was a security risk from Pakistan terror groups. Remember, this was in Firozpur. Aerial distance between where this ambush happened and the hot borders of India and Pakistan, that's merely 15 kilometers away. And there was ample evidence, ample warnings which were given to the state government that the Prime Minister's cavalcade may be ambushed. Which is why we are putting this proof of what we are calling this ambush, which we've presented here on Times Now to our viewers, so that they themselves can decide. Does this not show that there was sabotage?
All right, thanks so much for that update there, Meghna. Certainly very, very important. The number of evidences and reports coming from on ground only appears to be piling up. But let me take this across to our guests who are joining us. Anila Singh is spokesperson of the BJP. Smita Prakash, editor of ANI, is with us. Tehseen Poonawala, political analyst, with us. Riju Datta, spokesperson of the TMC, also joining us on the broadcast. Tehseen Poonawala, you know, there's document after document coming out about what the Punjab government and the Punjab police were warned as far as following, leave alone departing from the protocols related to the Prime Minister's security. There's several warnings that were also ignored, and all of that is in black and white. It's on paper. How do you explain this?
Good evening, Madhav. Happy New Year to you, Smita Ji, and all my fellow panelists. And I'm just going to be very brief, but I hope I'm not going to be interrupted because I want your viewers to understand a couple of things. A, at no point of time will I think that the Prime Minister's security is a matter of joke, because the Prime Minister is all of our collective Prime Minister, and it is unacceptable that for 20 minutes the Prime Minister was left stranded on a flyover. Let me begin with the assumption that what Times Now is putting out and what the BJP is saying, unfortunately politicizing it, that the Punjab government was somehow involved in making the Prime Minister in the security lapse, is absolutely true. Having accepted that, though I don't agree with it, let's accept that hypothetically, let me put out a couple of points. A, the Prime Minister's convoy is led by 2 warning cars and 2 pilot cars. As you know, the SPG is an act of parliament, it follows the Bow Book, and an ASL is laid out, which in brief has a contingency plan. So there's a warning car and a pilot and 2 pilot cars 2.5 kilometers ahead, led by the SPG, not the local police. Why did they not see the protesters and tell the SPG and the Prime Minister behind that there were protesters ahead on a secure line? Because SPG only communicates on a secure line, not on the local line. Number 2, the air cover to the Honorable Prime Minister was given, because it was a rainy day, by BSF drones. BSF is completely under the Home Ministry. The BSF drones are in, again, a secure channel directly communicating with the SPG. Why did they not relay the images of the protest ahead to the protesters behind, to the SPG convoy behind, thereby stopping the Prime Minister? 3, why did the SPG immediately not take a U-turn when it saw these protesters and allow the protesters to come, even the BJP supporters who today I tweeted a verified video, come this close to the Prime Minister? Why did they not immediately take a U-turn and leave from there with buses and trucks on that flyover?
Let me, you put 3 very important questions, but my question only that then arises, Tehseen, is that all of this, the Punjab police was in a far better place to actually inform the SPG and take corrective action for. Unfortunately, that's not happened on ground. But let me take this question across to Smita Prakash. Smita Prakash, Tehseen wants to put the entire onus on the SPG. Now, we know that when it comes to the Advanced Security Liaison, it is comprising of various intelligence agencies and, of course, the state police and the SPG. But the fact is, the ground presence of the Punjab police, the warnings that have been given, all of that is a matter of record. Tehseen, unfortunately, does not seem to believe that that is as important as the role of the SPG in actually forewarning the Prime Minister or his security personnel about the blockade ahead.
I'm sorry, I did say that I agree with your, even if I agree with you, what was SPG doing?
But you're putting the onus on the SPG, sir. Let someone else also speak, please. Smita Prakash.
I absolutely don't want to disturb somebody else. But when I'm saying that I agree with you, but what was SPG doing? You're saying that I'm putting the onus on SPG. Why was SPG not covering the Prime Minister's?
You are putting the onus on the SPG. You agree with me, but you put the onus on the SPG, sir. That's what you have said. We all heard what you have said. Let others come in now. Smita Prakash.
Please, sorry, ma'am.
Yeah, Madhav, just a couple of points about the SPG. This thing about the blue book coming out and there are two cars in front, one car in front, they speak on a secure line, the two cars in front should tell the one car at the back and the one car these are all dynamics which keep changing. Just because it was written at a certain point of time doesn't mean that every time a Prime Minister travels, that is the exact convoy placement which is done. When he travels abroad, it's different. When he travels in India, when he travels in Delhi, it is different. So these things keep changing. It's not one particular car or one particular game plan that is followed. You know, I mean, that's just it. A pattern should never be there for a Prime Minister, for a President. Security should be there, but it's never a pattern. So this, the media reports I'm seeing is quite hilarious, which is being quoted by several spokespersons, that this is how the SPG functions and this is how the Prime Minister moves. No, it keeps changing. I mean, I've travelled with several Prime Ministers, respectfully I say this, I've travelled with several Prime Ministers, and every Prime Minister who travels has separate SPG protocols put in place, whichever country he's travelling to. And certain threat perceptions are more. At that time, the security increases and several layers of security are there. Sometimes it's not there. In fact, I still remember at one point of time, the Indian Prime Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, was at an EU summit and he just moved from his hotel room and there was just one cordon around him because the presumption that he's just moving from the hotel room to the place where the meeting was supposed to be held, and one lady came very close and gave him a hug and took a selfie with him at that point of time. So the SPG was flabbergasted because that lady came so close and nobody expected. And again, I'm saying this is a lapse because this is exactly what happened with Rahul Gandhi. A lady came forward and nobody expected this to happen. Now this happens with several Prime Ministers. It's not just Dr. Manmohan Singh. And what happened with the Prime Minister was very normal. In Punjab, what happened? A lot has been said about breach of security protocols, errors, and inquiries have been ordered, investigation has taken place. But the fact is that a lot was put at risk that day. And I think, if a repeat incident of the kind that has happened takes place, the Prime Minister's life was put in jeopardy then and it could be happened now, and this should not be trifled with. And it has to be told, the sad part is it has to be told by every SPG chief in the past to his principal, regardless whoever it is. You know what happened with Indira Gandhi, right? She was advised not to keep her security personnel, but she disregarded that. Now, every SPG chief has to tell the security personnel in the states that he visits. And so, please do not even think that...
Let me bring in the BJP spokesperson on that note. Anila Singh, there have been violations, there have been multiple violations. Mr. Poonawalla would have us believe that the SPG also should be questioned as far as the violations are concerned. The role of the Punjab government, of course, is very well documented in terms of the various warnings that have been given to them. But the question of the SPG and also what were they doing is something that Tehseen Poonawalla is asking. Please respond to him.
Mr. Poonawalla must be thinking that all the fault is of SPG, all the fault is of Prime Minister of our country, and Congress ruled the Punjab. They don't have anything to do with it. Mr. Chani is holy dead cow, and whatever he is saying in today's date in several interviews given to different channels is absolutely pure in the sense that they were there to welcome him, and everything went wrong because Prime Minister of our country wanted to go by road. And everybody knows whenever there is a program of President of a country or the Prime Minister of a country, blue rule book is there, which is just mentioned by Sitaji. So everything goes according to that, and the sanitization of the route is the responsibility of the state government, state administration and the police. And they did it. They had rehearsal also, because they have to do that. Whenever a Prime Minister or President is visiting that particular state, so the police administration, they have to do that. But the thing is, when somebody has got some evil plans, then definitely they don't do that which they are supposed to do. And out of the blue, Mr. Chani says that I have been exposed to a person, an officer, who has been suffering from corona. Then he says, I'm not coming to welcome my Prime Minister of our country. Then Chief Secretary says, And DGP police said.
All right. On multiple occasions, Riju Datta, on multiple occasions and multiple levels, there have been failures by the state government. It's fairly well documented. But unfortunately, what we are seeing is a political fight over the security of a person whom all Indians, at the end of the day, he is the Prime Minister. He represents the entire country. Now, is this the kind of political fight that one expects? The SPG Act is cast in stone. It's a part of the law of this country. And it is quite unfortunate that the Supreme Court has had to be approached to actually intervene into this entire matter. Riju Datta.
Madhav Ji, I expect you to give me the courtesy of time because I've heard everybody uninterrupted. See, PM security is sacrosanct. We cannot compromise with PM security. But what happened here was very simple. The show was cancelled because of low attendance. The star campaigner refuses to attend the show. He went back home and the event was politicized. Where was the security breach? I do not understand in this concept. I am exhausted by the tomfoolery of BJP on a daily basis. The Prime Minister he's the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, which is a robust democracy, staring in the eyes of our neighboring countries, and this touch me not attitude is not helping us in any way. If you remember, people were talking about past Prime Ministers. Indira Gandhi was hit on the head with a stone. Manmohan Ji was also, somebody broken the protocol, but they met. The protesters were sanitized. If there was a national threat, yes, I agree with Modi Ji, there was a national threat with people carrying BJP flags and entering into the security protocol of the PM's cavalcade. That was a national threat. The protesters were a mile away.
I think the question, Riju Datta, the question is there for all to see. The visuals are there for all to see what has transpired, where the Punjab police has failed, and where the questions have arisen as far as the protocols being violated. I think all of that is fairly well documented. But we'll have to leave it there for the moment. I'd like to thank all of you, Anila Singh, Smita Prakash, Tehseen Poonawala, and Riju Datta for joining us on the show this evening.